Thanks, Anna. I was also going to call you my sister cousin, but I felt it had funny connotations. But anyway. Also, I guess my role is to give you a bit of a personal insight into what inspired us to create this amazing venue. Nick and I did indeed meet in the university cloisters when we were 17 years old. So it's been a bit of a crazy ride since then, I have to say. We have lived in London, Sydney, Hong Kong. We've had high-intensity jobs. We've had 4 children who we love dearly and are equal parts amazing and challenging, as all children are. So I think, it's not as though we've had a lot of time, but I have discovered that Nick doesn't need time. He creates it out of somewhere in the ether, I think. 3 years ago, we kind of felt the pull of home, and we left Hong Kong really because the space, the landscape, our family, our friends here in Adelaide just started to mean too much to us. Every time we came home, it felt like this was the place we should be. We love it here more and more as we get older, actually, which is nice. And as Anna said, with COVID, Nick got stuck in lockdown. I think you were back from what turned out to be your last trip to the UK for a very long time. We didn't know that back in March last year, but it was. And I discovered don't leave Nick alone for too long with his own thoughts because, we've been thinking for a long time about how we could give back to the community. It's something that's really important to us. But yeah, Nick and Richard, it was Anna. Gosh, it was a bad concoction. Everyone had great ideas about creating this amazing space. And I'm a reflector and a listener. I like to sit, I like to think, I like to ponder. Nick likes to do. So here we are, in the lab with the restaurant next door. So thank goodness for Nick's. I like to think I'm now contributing along the way to help us think and listen and just take our time a little bit more. I think because of my background as a psychologist, I am very committed to giving back to people. I've worked in mental health teams with adolescents, children and their families and adults in southwest London, in southwest Sydney, in places where there is a lot of need. And you can't walk away from that kind of a work environment without realising that not everyone has the same opportunity. And in fact, those fundamental needs in terms of having a supportive and functional family and enough financial stability just to get by, they make a real difference. And while this is about creating, we want to make a real difference. We want to provide a creative environment for people to be able to come and imagine and have opportunity and be paid appropriately and be given a chance to express their experience and share it with us all. That's how we become super lucky and a part of all of this. I think Anne went into great detail about how we want to support artists and how we're doing that. Fundamentally, treating all people with kindness, treating all people with care and respect creates an environment that enables them to express themselves and follow their dreams and find opportunity that they may not have even known was there. And that's really the fundamental basis of what we're committed to here at Light and in the lab and in Aurora next door. I think that's kind of what drives me the most, is creating an environment where people are looked after. And I'm going to get teary, but I'm so proud of all our team, from Amanda down to our kitchen hands and every staff member. We just have just the kindest, most lovely team. And the feedback we get from any artist coming in here is, oh my God, your staff were really kind and helpful. Now, I think that should be the norm, but it's not, because it's a pretty tough industry. And we love that we're creating a space where people feel like they're going to be looked after. And for me, that's been my primary purpose in life. I feel like carers generally, I'm a carer, carers are not valued enough in our society. And we want to create an environment that cares for people. Next door, which we will experience later on, we have Aurora, with Brendan Vessels totally on board with this message. The staff and have really embraced our philosophy. Aurora is the entrance to this artistic experience. It is also a chance to first experience the culture that we've created here at Light. We wanted Aurora to feel like home, to feel like a place that's familiar, where you can come, do what's familiar, eat, drink wine, drink whatever you want. This is something we all love to do. We want to then challenge people to try new artistic realms, new artistic genres, to come out here into the lab and experience something different. I always think that as an anxious person, it's always good to start with something familiar that feels very comfortable and then slowly step out into the unknown, which is what you can do here in the lab, I think. Aurora is a social enterprise. Every cent you spend ever in there, please bring your friends, every cent you spend is going back to look after the well-being of our staff, to train them, to support them, and eventually also to support the arts. So it really is part of the primary focus of this whole organisation. This is just the beginning. We have so many ideas about how we can support people, how we can engage with the arts, how we can develop the technology. You're going to see more of it upstairs very soon. We really want to bring Adelaide on the journey with us. We think we've keyed into something special and amazing, and we don't want to do it alone. We want everyone to be a part of this, for you guys to feel like you're excited about something that Adelaide has to offer to Australia and the world. We are so excited and so proud, and thank you so much for coming tonight. And I might have talked a bit much, but I think that's because we haven't had a chance to kind of properly reflect yet. So you guys are our opportunity to reflect on everything that we've done so far and what our goals and aims are for the future. I know Nick, very unusually, has spent a fair amount of time thinking about what he's going to talk about, so he'll probably have more of the details for you, but thank you so much for coming, and I'm going to hand over to my lovely husband.
Thank you, Sophie. You are the inspiration, the salt, the rock, the everything for my universe, and this is now part of our universe. We now have 70 chicklings in our employ, and we're super proud of this team, and we sometimes feel a bit scared when you stand on the edge of the ledge and you look down, but then you remember, no, just keep looking forward. So thank you again for coming and attending and supporting us today, and I'd like to particularly to acknowledge our Premier Stephen Marshall and Lord Mayor Sandy Verschoor, who have been such fantastic, enthusiastic promoters of this project. And, without your support, we wouldn't have the gumption to keep, pushing on despite the numerous headwinds associated with doing a project in a ridiculously short time. So thank you. Our launch of the virtual production studio, which you're going to see shortly, and our partnership with the ABC and Imagine Room mark key milestones on Light's journey to reimagine the performance experience for the benefit of creatives and the community, with Adelaide at its epicentre. Sophie and I have had an amazingly enthusiastic response from all of the Adelaide and Australian community who have visited this place, but it's been the reactions of the artists, the tech creatives, the hospitality workers, whose lives and opportunities are being profoundly enhanced by Light, that underscores our commitment and belief to this audacious project. Our team now has 70 employees across the arts and hospitality, and together with our amazingly experienced advisory board members who have volunteered their very valuable time, we've created in just under 4 months a new social enterprise that we believe has become part of Adelaide's fabric, and we believe is a valuable asset for South Australia. I don't have time to run through the amazing individuals on our advisory board team, but we're extremely lucky to have their support and guidance, and I hope you can chat to many of them who are here tonight. Bill Muirhead would like to be here, but he's back in London, and Will Berryman is in Sydney, and there's a few others dotted around, but the Adelaide ones are here. I'm going to briefly single out Tony Clark, who is the CEO of Rising Sun Pictures and on our advisory board, who is here tonight, and who I blame for the audacity of this project. At a very early point in this journey, I went and spoke to him, and he encouraged me to bravely step forward to seek to combine the best of gaming tech, visual effects and film and performance to create what is now here in this building and is a dynamic R&D project, effectively. Tony referred to what we are doing as a 2020s combination version of IMAX and MTV, performance intimacy in an immersive environment. So far, so good, and Tony, thank you. Light supports creative industries, gives hope and excitement, and engages our guests with its commitment to innovation and world-leading experiences, both in hospitality and the performing arts. Perhaps most importantly, we think Light will be the training ground for the future of tech and arts creatives. Early access to these world-leading facilities will provide a massive advantage to the hundreds of Adelaide-based techs, artists, and even art lab rats as they navigate the future. We believe this project will be an incubator for the future of Adelaide's creatives being leaders on the world art stage that will increasingly be dominated by digital experiences, but for us, in a digital way that prioritises real human connectivity. I'm often asked three questions about this project. Firstly, why? Good question. Why Adelaide? 2. And 3, what's in it for you? Let me address these. Why? Sophie and I think the best way of contributing to the world is to do something that we're both passionate about, but something that is audacious and risk-taking and aims to be self-sustaining and creative. As you know, achieving a perpetually self-sustaining creative organisation is extremely challenging, but that is the mission we are on. If we were doing this in Los Angeles, no one would bat an eyelid about what we were doing. They'd be like, oh yeah, another crazy guy with another crazy project, fantastic, let's go. But to take this type of creative and capital risk in Australia is not as common. So we're proud to be doing our little bit for risk-taking culture in Australia, and we hope you can join us in that journey. We also believe that COVID and digital disruption have provided both the need and the opportunity for a project like this. The need to create meaningful new employment and training pathways for creatives, and also the brain elasticity that has been forced upon us all us as we've adapted our lives through COVID. Second, why Adelaide? Aside from the fact that we happily live here now, we firmly believe Adelaide is the ideal place for the incubation of a project that aims to reimagine the way performance is experienced inside a hub that promotes the best of Adelaide's hospitality and provenance. Adelaide has the best wine and food in Australia, period. Its locally sourced products are the envy of the world, and it is now truly a culture of innovation. Adelaide has just been named today, as Stephen Marshall kindly texted me, by The Economist as the most livable city in Australia, beating Melbourne, yippee, and the third most in the world. What more can I say? Why wouldn't we do it here? Adelaide is now a breeding ground for creatives, both tech and artistic. And importantly, Sophie and I were able to afford this beautiful, large and eclectic building in the heart of the city. You couldn't do this in Melbourne or Sydney. You just couldn't do it. Mixing the best of Adelaide's incredible food and wine offerings and the best of Adelaide's creatives is, as we all know, promoting the very best of South Australia. Doing that in a venue that can transport the artists and the audiences to anywhere in South Australia or the world, be it immersed in our First Nations country or on a remote beach in Kangaroo Island, we believe is a really bespoke offering. We can do anything in Adelaide. Its future is in the 21st century as lifestyle is celebrated and digital connectiveness makes it more flexible to do the business wherever you live. You'll be pleased to hear that in my various travels around Australia, because I can't go overseas, that there have been a number of potential eastern states sponsors that will be very happy to support this project if it were in their city instead. But in our view, this belongs in Adelaide, looking out to the world. It's yet another reason for those Sydney-siders and Melbourneites to discover our beautiful state. Finally, what's in it for you? Sophie and I have been very fortunate, and we have an amazing opportunity with our passion, energy and capital to make a meaningful difference to the creative human experience in Adelaide. That's enough for us. And be an example of taking social risk for social benefit. That is what social enterprise is all about. Risk is the same side of the coin, the other side of the coin from creativity. You can't have one without the other. Mind you, a project of this scale is totally new for us. We are still learning how to do this and to do this well. But it is not about us, or rather, we don't want this to be about us. We want it to be much bigger than us. This is about taking passion and the luck of having a bit of money to create something amazing. We don't want this to be seen as our project. We want this to be seen as Adelaide's project. We hope that as time goes by, Adelaide will view this, that we would just happen to be the catalyst. We would have happily stood back, particularly Sophie, in the shadows, to let this organism grow naturally. But we've been convinced by others that we can't get others on board unless we stand up publicly, like right now, and put ourselves out there and share our vision and our passion. Light is for the community and it is by the community, whether that be the creatives, the businesses that might want to use this space, or the philanthropists. Light will in its time be its own self-sustaining arts and tech creative vision that will morph with the changing tides of technology. We are simply the conduits that have helped created it. Critically, we can't do it without the Australian and especially Adelaide's business and community support. Light aims to be self-sustaining through the revenue streams from its businesses, the hospitality, the restaurants, the events, the virtual production studio you're going to see upstairs. But this is going to take us 12 months to bring these on stream. And in the meantime, we need funding to keep funding the Creative Arts Program. For the arts, we currently employ 5 people under Anne Wiberg's great leadership. We obviously pay artists, and we've had 60 shows, a very fair wage independent of what their performance. We have 2 full-time tech creatives that are helping drive these screens for the artists, and we have a team of venue managers. We curate a large and diverse program based upon not who can afford this space, but who can use this space to the best of its creative abilities. The ongoing rusts of running a creative program around this are about $1.5 million a year. Sophie and I have contributed $12 million to this project, of which $4 million has been donated by us to the Light Cultural Foundation to date. And the remainder reflects the costs of purchasing and restoring this building, which has been provided rent-free to the foundation, and setting up the hospitality businesses, which, as Sophie mentioned, will donate all of its businesses, all of its profits back to the artists and this artistic program. As many of you appreciate, restoring a beautiful, old but very unloved building, albeit there was actually a lot of paid loving up on level 3, where we now reside in our offices, steam cleaned, to meet modern standards is not easy and certainly has been more costly. The rule of thumb that you double your expectation has been exceeded. But it is a magnificent building with a rich, eclectic history from tobacco to Chapman small goods to brothels, and we're delighted to be involved in preserving her for future Adelaide generations, hopefully not again as a brothel. Until the revenue of Light's businesses can fully cross-subsidise the Arts Foundation, we're looking for others who are fortunate enough to be in a position to do so, to make tax-deductible donations to the foundation to assist us in joining us funding the arts program that will fund employment, tech, artist opportunities, training and world-leading performance on our new digital canvas. We would love to have your participation in funding this, but just as important is to encourage you to embrace Light into the Adelaide community so that she will flourish for decades as a self-perpetuating and independent creative hub. Please come eat, drink, see shows, tell your friends, have your business conduct its events, use the immersive facilities, be passionate about it, bring your friends and share in its journey. We look forward to hosting you and your friends here frequently. You will always be welcome. We have a number of Illuminate events coming up during the year and massive plans for big events. We see ourselves of the home, the permanent home for Adelaide's festival community, and we want to be an innovative part of the Fringe and the festival in 2022 and beyond. And indeed, a hallmark of that is Elaine Cheer, who is the CEO of Adelaide Festivals, is in fact on our advisory board. So we see ourselves as completely part of that ecological and arts community that we spoke about earlier. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a fabulous evening.